Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back in time, not just to any ancient city, but to one of the most vibrant, chaotic, and influential hubs of the Roman Empire, Corinth. Imagine a city that's a bustling crossroads of the world, a Las Vegas and a Wall Street of the ancient world all rolled into one. That was Corinth, located on a narrow isthmus connecting mainland Greece with the Peloponnese Peninsula. Corinth was a strategic masterpiece. It had two major ports, Lycaon on the Corinthian Gulf and Century on the Saronic Gulf, making it a gateway for trade, travel, and ideas flowing between the East and the West. Ships from all over the known world docked here, bringing not just goods like spices, silks, and pottery, but also people from every nation, culture, and social class. Sailors, merchants, philosophers, artisans, and Roman officials all rubbed shoulders in its crowded streets. This constant influx of people and money made Corinth incredibly wealthy. It was a city of magnificent temples, lavish villas, and grand public buildings. The famous Temple of Apollo, whose ruins you can still see today, stood proudly overlooking the city. But this prosperity had a dark side. Corinth's wealth was legendary, but so was its reputation for moral corruption. It was a city where anything and everything was for sale, and self-indulgence was the order of the day. The city was filled with temples dedicated to various gods and goddesses. One of the most prominent was the Temple of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, which sat high on the Acrocorinth, the city's Acropolis. Ancient sources tell us that this temple was associated with sacred prostitution, contributing to the city's reputation for rampant immorality. The term to Corinthianize was even coined, and it became a common slang expression throughout the Roman Empire, meaning to live a life of debauchery and excess. So, when someone called you a Corinthian, it wasn't a compliment about your geographical origin, it was a comment on your lifestyle. Greed, materialism, and a live-for-the-moment attitude were woven into the very fabric of the city. It is into this dazzling, dynamic, and deeply sinful city that a man named Paul arrives around the year 50 AD. He's not a wealthy merchant or a powerful politician. He's a tent maker by trade, a man with a singular, radical message that would turn this city upside down. Paul's mission seems almost impossible. How could a message of humility, self-control, and love for a crucified Messiah possibly take root in a place like Corinth, a city that celebrated the exact opposite? Paul didn't arrive with a grand entourage or a chest full of gold. He came with a deep conviction and the power of the gospel. He understood that where sin was abundant, grace could be even more abundant. He wasn't deterred by the city's reputation. In fact, it seems he was drawn to it. He saw not just a pit of sin, but a field ripe for harvest. He saw people who, beneath all the noise and glitter, were lost and searching for true meaning. When Paul began to preach in Corinth, he didn't water down his message to make it more palatable. He preached Christ crucified, a message that was, as he himself wrote, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. To the Jewish community, the idea of a crucified Messiah was a contradiction. To the Greeks, who valued wisdom and philosophy, the idea of worshipping a man who had been executed like a common criminal was absurd. Yet, something incredible happened. People started to listen. Not just a few, but many. His message began to resonate in the hearts of the Corinthians. He first went to the synagogue, as was his custom, and reasoned with both Jews and Greeks. And when Silas and Timothy joined him, Paul dedicated himself exclusively to preaching, testifying to the Jews that Jesus was the Messiah. Of course, not everyone was receptive. He faced stiff opposition, particularly from some within the Jewish community who rejected his message. The situation became so hostile that Paul, in a symbolic act, shook out his clothes in protest and said, "Your blood be on your own heads. I am innocent of it. From now on, I will go to the Gentiles." This was a pivotal moment. Paul turned his focus to the non-Jewish population of Corinth, and the response was remarkable. Right next door to the synagogue lived a man named Titius Justus, a worshipper of God. Paul began to hold meetings in his house, and then something truly amazing occurred. Crispus, the synagogue leader, and his entire household believed in the Lord. Think about that for a moment. The leader of the very synagogue where Paul had just faced such intense opposition became a believer, and he wasn't alone. The Bible tells us that many of the Corinthians who heard Paul believed and were baptized. A church was being born. In the heart of this sin city, a community of believers was forming. It was a diverse group made up of Jews and Greeks, rich and poor, slaves and free. This was unheard of. In a society so rigidly stratified, the church in Corinth was a radical new kind of family, united not by social status or ethnicity, but by their shared faith in Jesus Christ. But why Corinth? Why did God choose this place for such a significant work? One night, the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision. "Do not be afraid. Keep on speaking. Do not be silent. For I am with you, and no one is going to attack and harm you, because I have many people in this city." This was a direct encouragement from God. It was a promise of protection and a confirmation that his work in Corinth was part of a divine plan. God had chosen people in this city of indulgence who would become beacons of his light. Empowered by this vision, Paul stayed in Corinth for a year and a half, teaching the word of God among them. This was one of the longest periods he spent in any single city during his missionary journeys. He wasn't just planting a seed and moving on. He was nurturing a new community, discipling them, and laying the foundation for a church that would, despite its many future problems, become a vital center for early Christianity. The founding of the church in Corinth is a powerful testament to the transformative power of the gospel. It shows that no person and no city is beyond the reach of God's grace. In the most unlikely of places, amidst moral chaos and spiritual darkness, a light was lit. A community of hope, faith, and love was established, proving that God's power is made perfect in weakness. The story of Paul in Corinth is not just ancient history. It's a timeless reminder that light can shine brightest in the darkest places. It challenges us to look at our own cities and our own world, not with despair, but with the same hope and conviction that Paul had. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If you found this story inspiring, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and God bless.